1999. The important the committee director a full study
and a cost.
We are today. You've gone through for either observing
to delay project.
To look at potentially changing, and we can get into that as it's based upon market demand. And one example I think Stu would probably share is a project we worked on in Sandy, which is the big Shields Anchored Center. And there was, a considerable amount of design guidelines on that project. We went through everything, and there were clock towers and all sorts of things, and it was going to be a very cool looking project. But when we started getting into the numbers, it just wasn't realistic. We want it to look as amazing as absolutely possible, but at the end of the day, the market determines what these retailers can pay in rent and what we can build so Daniel can actually get a return on his $500 million investment. So that's one thing that we would just like to touch base on, and we can discuss it further. I think there's another slide. I don't remember all that you got in here, Daniel. So conceptually, this is what so we have the big Las Vegas ICSC coming up here in a couple weeks. It's 40,000 people, everybody in the retail shopping center industry. But this is conceptually what we're bringing out to the market with site plans. We've tried our best. We've plagiarized the heck out of some of the guys that we would really love to be there. I don't know if Blue Lemon has seen that Blue Lime sign, but we would absolutely love some of those kinds of tenants.
Green line.
And these things continue to change as well. And I know that there's some things within the zoning that we could potentially continue to look at as we move forward as well. A lot of these cool concepts that, at one point, when you said drive-through, it was only McDonald's, Burger King. Nowadays, it's Habit Burger, which is a better burger, cool concept, and now they're all exploring drive-throughs. So that's another thing that I think is currently prohibited that we would like to, just keep an open mind on because retail continues to evolve. A lot of these retailers.
Cameron,
Yeah.
question on that.
Yeah.
I realize that there's some city ordinance, but does this property fall outside of what was signed with McDonald's as far as prohibitive covenants?
Yes.
I'm just trying to, you mentioning drive-through and certain types of foods. I just want to make sure we're
Can-
clear.
well,
Just not, as long as we're not getting off track with it. I just want to make sure that we're clear on what we can and need to do to support.
If you don't mind. So what Mayor's talking about, so this whole area, as you recall, and Cameron, I asked Cameron to go through the permitted use table in the zone and say, are these uses, are we missing anything? Is there anything in here that would keep him from being able to build a vibrant retail center? And remember, when you're talking about the zone, it's not just our land. It encompasses a lot more. So you've got over 100 acres of prime retail without certain uses, and we all understand why they were taken out. But we're now here with kind of a comprehensive look at the area, and I want Cameron to talk a little bit more about this. They were filling me in yesterday on the importance of C-stores and fast food and drive-through to actually create a 65-acre vibrant retail center. But so currently right here, no drive-through, no fast food, no what do they call it in the code? Quick serve, which is your Chipotle's and your green lime lemon places. Those are under that classification. So it's a conversation for a different time, but I've got a list of about 75 uses that we would all probably die to have in this project that are zoned out, right?
So it's totally zoning. It's not restrictive covenant that was signed with another person.
Correct. So
Okay.
the restrictive covenant is, I'm stepping away from the microphone. McDonald's bought this. When they bought it, the Bakers owned all of this, and it's a restrictive covenant. So it's a document that goes into the public record that is binding on land, not all of it. And that restrictive covenant basically says in this area and this area, you can't sell a burger. It's a problem. We're fixing
A sit-down burger or a drive-through burger?
drive-through burger in particular.
Okay.
And it is a concern, but it wasn't a concern enough to not buy it, right? And we're in conversations about helping that go away.
So the only reason I brought it up, and I don't want to tangent, I want to make sure the question is, you need the city's support.
Yeah.
We need to be able to back you up with ordinances and zoning that will assist in attracting the right retailers. And I want to make sure that's actually in the city's authority to do so, and it's not a third-party agreement that's out of our hands.
Gotcha. And I think it goes back to the evolution of retail, and it's been, you can read 1 million articles on it, on what these retailers are going through with online shopping and everything. people continue to evolve, and cool concepts are doing different things nowadays to drive that traffic. And some of these zoning ordinances are prohibitive of what they look to do in the future. And so it's something that we would like to bring up. And on the other side, from the retail perspective, we have a lot of competition for Pleasant Grove City. We've got the Meadows that has over 1 million feet of retail just north of us. We've got University Mall where Woodbury's investing $500 million over the next decade to make that a very cool retail project. So I'm not asking for anything I shouldn't, but I just wanted you guys to understand this is what we're up against. This is a phenomenal piece of property. There's only so much I-15 property left, and something cool is going to happen. But we need to figure out how to be competitive, and I think Stu can probably help with some of the other cities.
I'm Stuart Thane. I've been in the business probably way too long, and my mom taught me don't get on trains, so that's what I did. So, the key to retail projects, and Cameron and myself have been involved on a lot of projects. Probably over the last 20 years or so, we've probably done somewhere between 8 to 10 million square feet of retail in the state of Utah. So we have a pretty good idea of what it takes and what we have to do in regards to city involvement, as Cameron talked about. But I think the biggest thing is as you look at these, what a city can do is just prepare for what the potential is out there. When we look at these projects, we don't look at them and say, okay, the best use we could do is a McDonald's or this. We kind of dream. We put together a dream sheet of who we'd love to have. In Lehi, 12 years ago, we dreamed about having a Cabela's and the Outlet Mall, and sometimes those things come together. The Shield Sporting Goods still, if what would have happened in the beginning would have happened up there, we would have just had a Home Depot and that was it. And it took years for that to all of a sudden come together with the right landowner and everything, and put together a 250,000 square foot Shields and everything around it. City benefits, community benefits, the state benefits, all from that one tenant. So as we look at these types of things, what we try to create is how do we get people to get off the freeway there? And so when we start looking at different uses that sometimes are excluded, some of those are important. Gas stations, you look at what the new Mavericks look like, nothing like the old barns they used to build. But those types of things, because all we're trying to do is generate traffic and get people off the highway. By doing that, by showing the traffic counts and everything else, we can attract tenants. And that's the goal of all of this, is to see what we can put together and what's the highest and best use that we can do here in regards to retail type projects. We do the work for Costco, so we were down in southern Utah County and had Springville and Spanish Fork both had sites within their jurisdiction. So Costco's not one to negotiate much at all, and so they tell both cities, give us your best offer. And comes back, and I shouldn't probably say this in these meetings, but Springville City says, well, hang on, we got one more. And it's like, no, we negotiated. So where did Costco end up? They end up in Spanish Fork. So when we come sit down with you and talk about these things, we can give you some great guidelines, guidance, input, because we've been involved. We've been lucky and been fortunate to be involved on a lot of these things. So just like we told the mayor of Springville City, we told you that they don't go back for seconds. You get one shot. That's your deal. Give us the best shot you can. So when we look at these things, all we try to do is create some reason to get people to come off that freeway and to stop there and shop. And what's going to be the best use for us to do that? So as we go along this with them, we're going to come up with some crazy, wild tenants, and everybody says, you can't do that kind of stuff. But you got to start somewhere. And I'll tell you what, we've lucked out more than once in regards to being able to pull some of these people into some of these type of locations. Cameron brought up the perfect thing. There's not a lot of I-15 frontage property with the kind of traffic counts you have here that really doesn't have any kind of supporting uses or services that are currently there besides a gas station, a few office buildings. You start talking about what they're developing, we start putting together a plan and just see what we can come up with and who we can get down here. Utah County is an interesting market from our perspective in contrast to Salt Lake County, Davis and Weber County. And there are a few obstacles we have to try to figure out how to get over with some of these tenants. But I think we can do that because the property in and of itself speaks for itself. You know, how we got Cabela's to come around the corner and not go to Salt Lake County, I still wonder how we did that. But until we try, we don't know the answer to some of those things. You know, and fortunately for us, we do work for Nordstrom's and Costco and JCPenney and Ross and TJ Maxx and all those types of tenants. So we get an opportunity to come in and sit down with them and talk to them specifically about why we think this site works in regards to that. We get a lot of these tenants too, they do their own research, and so we'll have them do the research on this. It tells us volumes about what other retailers are going to think about this site because they all do different types of demographic profiles and studies. Plus, they use their own sales information that they do within Utah County and plug all that in to this, I don't know, this computer, whatever it is, and out pops a number that tells them if this is a site or not, and how much it hits other stores and all that kind of good stuff. So, but we believe in the site because it's sitting on the freeway. There's a lot of traffic. It's just that when we bring some of these tenants in, I think it's important for the city to understand what it takes to get these tenants here, because sometimes you only get one shot. You can go ask Layton City about Costco. We went in there one day and they told us, listen, we're not a big box community. So Costco said, fine. So we went up and did the deal in Ogden, and I get a call about every week from the economic development person for Layton trying to get Costco now to do a store up there, because in Utah they're averaging about 180 or 90 million per warehouse now. So it's important.
What is that? This is important. What is that 180, 190 million per? What does that mean to the city of Layton and the city of Ogden?
Well, I think the difference in, you guys get probably 3/4% of that,
That's a full 1%, right?
or 1%. So you get somewhere around one.
Half for point of sale, and then we get
Yeah,
half based on population, so
yeah.
you kind of average, it might be 3/4%.
Yeah. So you get, 1.2 or $3 million off one tenant, in regards to that. But that's how important.
Costco looking.
Maybe no. No. You never know. Somewhere down the road. So, but they are doing these anyway. We'll get into that later. But I think, yeah. So, but I think we got to look at those things. And when we come to you and say, listen, this is the kind of pitch we need to make. This is what we need. This is the involvement we need the city to be a part of. We need to do that. We probably are dealing with 18 or 20 cities right now with different types of projects and tenants. And it's important that the city be a part of that whole negotiation, because you got to remember, they're going to be potentially sitting in your city for 30, 40, 50 years as a tenant. And so we've always told cities it's so important and so valuable that you get involved, especially these big guys, because they're always getting touted to go to other cities and they're trying to throw money at them and all that kind of good stuff. But we're excited to work on it and appreciate the mayor. Met him in January up at a little event we had. But like I said, and any questions?
Yeah, I just a couple. Different part of the country, Sports Authority. There's a couple of players that are struggling, moving out. What's your view on this?
Well, I think it's great. I mean, that's my opinion. Well, what it's done is create a lot of opportunity, because Sports Authority has a lot of quality. I mean, they have 450 stores. So it sounds like, based upon the bankruptcy court, that they're going to shut them all down in June. But it's created a lot of opportunity from people that haven't been able to get into certain markets to get into those. Sports Chalet I think they only had 60 or 70 locations. Sporting goods is tough, you got to always look now. Online shopping's a big thing. I have 4 daughters. I understand that concept really well. I know the UPS guy almost as good as my wife, which makes me nervous. But all that has an impact on what we're doing, and you're seeing a part of that impact. Best Buy, Barnes and Noble, we do the work for Barnes, but they've now figured out how they can do the online, selling, and they almost turn their stores into warehouses where you can take things back and all that. So Best Buy's starting to do that. The electronics guys are figuring it out. But it's tough out there when you got guys like Costco and Sam's and Walmart and Target that have gotten in that business. So anyway.
So what does that look like? So we want to be involved.
Yeah.
We want to wrap our arms around possibilities. So what is, we want to show up. So what does that look like?
We don't know yet. But part of that is, and from my perspective, is that's not a bad thing, because you never know what new concept or what thing's going to come wheeling through town that we're going to have an opportunity to have a shot at, because they want freeway visibility, they want to be in Utah County, they want to be centrally located. We can provide that to them, where other places now, properties can't do that, because there's just not that much left that sits in a sense, the center of Utah County.